Hi, welcome back to Pleased to Dwell. We are at chapter 8, Ladies in Line. So we're in the section of Matthew chapters 1 and 2. And last time we thought about the genealogy of Jesus. It's how Matthew begins. He clearly structures it from Abraham to David to the exile to Jesus. And these three landmarks through the Old Testament, really pointers to the covenants that God established. But there's another interesting feature of this genealogy which tends to get noticed, and that is that there are some ladies mentioned. Typically you wouldn't include females in a list of generations like this, but here we have some females, and it's not the females we might expect. With the story of the Old Testament, you'd kind of expect it to be the mother of Israel, Leah, or her beloved sister Rachel, or go up a generation, Rebecca, or even right up to Sarah herself. No, none of those are mentioned. It's Tamar in verse 3. Drop down to verse 5. We've got Rahab and Ruth, and look at this, verse 6, Uriah's wife. That's an awkward way of putting it. But I think the awkwardness of this one, the last one, is kind of flagging what probably is the point for including these women in the first place. In the book, I kind of notice four commonalities, if you like, between them. All women, obviously, that's what we're talking about. All foreign. That's interesting. All four of these are probably foreign women: Moabite, Canaanite, potentially Hittite, and so on. There's an unusual divine providence in every case. These are women who in many cases are viewed negatively by their society, but viewed as women of faith by God and the way that he worked. And I think this is the key one here, all with a question over their morality. Okay, Rahab the prostitute, Tamar who dressed up as a shrine prostitute, Uriah's wife who was adulterous in her relationship with David, and then even Ruth who followed her mother-in-law's instructions and got waited till Boaz was drunk and then climbed underneath the covers, as it were. So Ruth and Boaz, highly righteous. I'm not saying that they sinned, of course, but there was a question mark in terms of the way the story is told. There is a question mark over the morality of each of these four women, and I think that's the key. Because here in the book, while there is something to be said for the first three commonalities, it is this last one that stands out above the rest. After all five women there are five women in the genealogy, not four. Since Joseph was only Jesus' stepdad, his wife needed to be mentioned. Women in genealogies are unusual, but so is a virgin birth. So unusual, in fact, that Joseph and Mary would have to live with the wagging tongues and the fluttering question mark over her integrity for years to come. This, quote, virgin from Nazareth was surely just a fraud. Or was she? God didn't line up the arrival of his son with a red carpet through the pages of the Old Testament. Instead, the red line was that of the scarlet stain of sin. Far more imperfect people than paragons of virtue. Far more people like us than heroes in stained glass windows. From people like us comes Jesus the Christ, to people like us. God's grace overcoming the stain of sin. That's the whole message of Christmas, isn't it? That's the reason that he came. And so built into the genealogy are these four women of faith who had question marks over their integrity, so that when we get to the end and we see Joseph, whose wife was Mary, by whom was born Jesus, we have yet another one. Question mark over her integrity, but actually she was a woman of faith, and actually that's the reason Jesus came, to come into our messy, sin-stained world, which we're going to think about more in the next chapter. Thanks for watching.